What up YouTube, it's Doomnyc here with another deck profile. This time we're going to be looking into Evilswarm. A lot of people are saying that, this deck is dead or whatever, but honestly, this deck couldn't be more alive right now. With everyone pretty much competitively playing something with dragons, Ophion just shuts them down. I mean, when I was playing this deck, I just put this deck together just to see how it would run. And this deck goes first turn Ophion a lot. And then it's like, okay, I only play 2 Ophions because by the time I summon the second one, the game's almost over. It's really good. It stops everything. You guys will see. So anyway, let's start off with the deck. So we get the 3 heliotropes. Rabbit going to 1 actually helped this deck a lot. You know why? Because I thought it was inconsistent with Rabbit at 2 when you're only playing 3 normals. I mean, you could play the 3 Sabersaurus and then have a bunch of different Xyzes to go into, but I like this deck like this because 1 Rabbit with these 3 guys is nice because you play this Corrosive Contagion. This lets you shuffle 1 Evilswarm monster from your hand back into your deck. So you could, if you draw 2 heliotropes, you could send 1 back into your deck and get something like a caster or a Thunderbird until you draw your rabbit. So that ensures that, the rabbit stays pretty good. I mean, I like that a lot. I did have Emerald in here, but decided that it was better not to play it. Alright, so we got the 1 Dark Arm. I don't care what people say. You're playing Darks, you should play Dark Armed. It's just good. 3 casters, of course, staple. 3 Thunderbirds. Some people only play 2. I personally like this at 3 because if I draw, if I have 1 already in the field, I could just use Allure on this. It's just many different applications, but I like this card a lot. 3 Kirkions. I mean, think about it. You're not going to play Constellar without 3 Sombres, so same thing here. Kirkion's the same effect, so you're definitely going to want to play 3 of these. 3 Mandragos. Again, this is another card that people just sleep on. I need to play 3 of these. Well, it's good because you get the special summon. It's has that Cyber Dragon effect, but more than that, I play Birdman to go into Black Rose if I need to. So I only play 1 level 7 Synchro. In decks like this that run plants, because these guys are plants, you can use the Black Rose effect to change one of their monsters from defense position to attack and then lower their attack to 0. So that's obviously a really good play. And you can get those types of plays out with summoning caster, going to Heliotrope, Kirkion, Thunderbird, and then returning one of those cards and using Birdman. Or you could just blow up the field. Whatever you want to do with Black Rose, it's your choice. And of course, we got the 1 Rabbit. So 18 monsters. I find that right now, for me at least, playing 18 monsters in most decks is pretty good. We got 1 Allure. You're playing all these darks, you might as well. And of course, the Birdman, if you don't have any use for it, or the Dark Armed, you can just remove with Allure. We got Reinforcement for your casters. Gotta play this. Necessary. 1 Dark Hole, 2 Space. You may be thinking, well, I'm playing 3 Infestation Pandemics, but honestly, the Infestation Pandemics is kind of like your Lance without the reduction in attack points, so that's really good. And this is more for continuous effects, stuff like skill drains and stuff you don't want. You definitely, if your opponent's playing skill drain or something like that, you want to get rid of that. And as you can see for the trap lineup, we got a lot of traps here. We got Staples, Bottomless, Torrential, Compulse. I'm going to say that 2 Chains in the main deck are Staples now, because everybody seems to be playing. I mean, not everyone. At least everyone who knows how to play this game is playing 2 Fiendish Chains and the Warning. So now we got Mirror Force, D-Prison. These are not staples, but for decks like this, that's more has more of an anti-meta aspect. Yeah, those cards are really good. Eradicator, you should play this. I mean, Ophion, you know, you can get it with this. You can get it with Crazy Box, with Ouroboros, with Master Key Beetle. There's just tons and tons of options. It's really good. Infestation, Infection. This card is fantastic in the deck. I can't believe, like, when I tested this deck out before when Rabbit was at 2, like, I didn't play this card, but this card is so good. It's like you know, a Rhoda and a card trader in one. Like, it's really good because you get to search what you want with this. Like, it's really nice. The 2 safe zones. This is nice for for many reasons. If your opponent spaces it, you could just chain it to their monster, and then they lose their monster. You could equip this onto Ophion, and Ophion just, you know, doesn't leave the field. You could equip this to Master Key Beetle. You know, there's just a lot of good plays with it. So I like Safe Zone a lot in the deck. Alright, so that's the main deck. 40 cards. Let's go on to the extra. We got the Black Rose, Crazy Box. We got Ouroboros. I wish that we still had Shockmaster, but, you know, whatever, because this deck can go into this pretty easy. 2 Ophions. I like 2 over 3 just because there's a lot of cards that I want to play in the extra deck that I can't really get to play if I play 3 Ophions. But 2 Ophions is a must. Like, don't play less than 2. You can play 3 if you want. Like, I would if I had the space, but, you know, 2 is a must. Utopia, Master Key Beetle is obviously really good. Thanatos and Bahamut, these are pretty good. One is unaffected by monster effects, which is good. And this guy lets you discard an Evilswarm monster to take control of your opponent's monster. So it kind of has like that Big Eye effect for a rank 4. That's really good. This is actually a really good card because your opponent doesn't get the card back, so you get to keep it. So that's fantastic. Photon Propeller Operative. Ivagishki Muralgeist. A lot of people might be like, why are you playing this? The reason for it is because if I don't draw this, and like, let's just say, you know, I draw like 2 Heliotropes, right? And I cast, like, I can go Caster, summon Heliotrope, go into Muralgeist, and then when I detach, I can detach Heliotrope and put it back in the deck instead of sending it to the grave. And now if I draw Rabbit later on, it'll be live. Like, that's a really, really good play. That's why I play this card. 1 Black Ship, staple. 1 Direwolf. You should play this only because Evilswarms don't have any XYZs that can destroy a card on the field. Like, they have like really good effects, but Ouroboros will return something to the hand, and you'll see, because I actually put this in after. You'll see one of my duels I'm playing against an empty jar player, and when I go into my XCs, like, I didn't have Direwolf in the deck, and I went into Ouroboros. I sent it back to his hand and stuff like that. But if I had Direwolf, I would have just destroyed it. And so I put Direwolf in after that game. So I have that replay. You'll see it. 1 Laval Varchain. This is really just, you know, if you have Dark Armed in your hand and you just want to do plays, or you have Kirkion and you need to get another one in the grave, you could do stuff like that. Or you could even like put Rabbit on top of your deck. You know, whatever you need. And then the 1 Cowboy. For anti-meta decks, Cowboy is great because it allows you, because it has 2 good effects. It allows you to attack over monsters, and then if you're like really close to winning, you can just go Cowboy and just, you know, use the effects for game. Side deck, you know, generic stuff. There's 1 Thunder King here and 3 Veilers, so you can put in Blackluster if you want to do that. Pot of Duplicity is in there. I mean, I think they made this card for Evilswarms because each of these, I mean, this is Rock, Warrior, Thunder, Spellcaster, Plant. You know, like, everything is different. So Plot of Duplicity would be good. But, I mean, again, I'm going to say this again. Any cards that don't allow you to attack are bad. So, you know, I don't like this. But, hey, later on, if people prove me wrong, then by all means, I'll start playing the card. 1 book. We got the Lances in the side just because, like, Pandemic is so good and you could search it. You could search this, you could search this with Ophion. That's why, you know, it's just too good. And 1 Deck Devastation, depending on what you're playing. If you're playing a deck with a lot of small, like if I was playing 3 Axis, I'd probably side in Deck Devastation. So this is the Evilswarm deck. Let's go into some replays. I've got a couple of games for you guys here. So, okay, so this guy's playing some type of Monarch deck, right? So he's going to play the Treeborn Frog. But see, he's got the space. And like, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Rabbit, get 2 Heliotropes. And then I'm going to go into Ophion, right? Search this. Because I don't know what the face down is. I'm going to attack. I see it's Treeborn Frog. I'm like, okay, I'm not setting any back row. And I'm lucky because I played so much back row and I didn't draw any. I'm like, this is probably space. So look at this. Controller, Shrink. He's like bluffing the hell out of me. He's got Level Leader there. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm not falling for that. So I'm like, nope. I'm gonna chain the other one. You're not taking my monster. I already know you're playing Monarchs. I see Treeborn Frog. There's like, so I'm just gonna attack, and this is just gonna be really bad for him. Cause look at this. See, she shrinks this monster, but he can't. He couldn't target this, so it was too late. So bam, I'm gonna search another Pandemic. I'm like, I'm not setting the safe zone. Look what he does. He destroys both his spaces. He minuses himself just to get that Treeborn effect. I'm like, okay. And then he just decides to scoop here because he figures, he's like, wait a minute. Even if I use the effect of Kais on one of these, he was like, I can't attack because he has 2. And I'm just going to lose, and he would have lost the next turn. So, lockdown effects. Look at that. I played no back row, and he was still locked down. Alright, so this guy's playing like a Gemini. He's playing like strictly Gemini deck. See, he's supervised here because he's trying out these new Gemini monsters. I'm like, no. I'm just going to go first turn Ophion again. I mean, do you guys see this? How often I'm going into first turn Ophion? Like, it's pretty ridiculous. These guys don't know what to do right now. So I'm like, alright. So I'm going to see, and I did that purposely. I used Infection, and then I used Torrential. So he would stay on the field. Like, it's just a really good play. So I'm just going to attack. And, he could have bottomless this. I would have just chained. But when I summoned the second one, I misclicked. So he gets to bottomless the second one. I'm like, alright, whatever. So yeah, I chained there. So he's gone. So he uses the effect to destroy the monster. He's going to attack. I'm like, alright. So here's what I'm going to do. I got Dark Hole in my hand. Will he be able to, come back from that? Probably not. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to use this. So he's going to bottomless this because I used Infection already. I'm like, fine. And attack for 19. He's going to go. He's got this Gryphor in his hand. He's going to set it. I'm like, okay. At this point now, it's like looking pretty bad for him because I'm going to go into... See, and this is why this deck is so good because it gets to run all these good cards. When you're playing, and I got the warning set. There's like pretty much nothing, and he's going to scoop right here because he can't summon anything. I mean, he could summon this, but it's not going to do anything. So, he can't summon anything bigger. So, here we go. Now, look at what this guy's playing. See this stuff right here? I wasn't sure when I hit this card because all I set was the space. See, and he draws Morphing Jar out of all cards. Like, so I hit this. I'm like, well, is this guy playing Burn or is he playing, I didn't know what he was playing. So I'm like, alright, I'm just going to go bam, bam, go into Ophion. I'm going to attack. And I see it's Morphing Jar. I'm like, damn, I lost my Dark Arm. But I'm like, alright, that's cool. I overextended. And the Morphing Jar is in the graveyard. So he's going to play Shallow Grave. So I'm going to get the Kirkion back. And he's going to play Gift Card. Give me 3,000. And then again, I was confused again because I'm like, is he playing Reverse Burn? Then I'm like, nope. I'm going to compulse this back to his hand. He's not going to get to use any of that stuff. So he's going to set it again. I'm like, alright. So I'm going to just, do that. I'm going to flip this, send that back to the deck, get Caster, and here I'm going to go into Ouroboros. See how good this card is? And I'm going to chain and send this back to his hand again. You can chain as many cards as you want, but send everything back to your hand. I'm not letting you chain anything to, use that effect again. and I'm just gonna keep attacking. So now he's down to 27, and I don't know why he did that. Like, he sent Morphing Jar to get Shallow Grave so he could play Shallow Grave, but I don't know. I really didn't understand. Like, he just eliminated, and look, he has like nothing. Like, even if he puts Morphing Jar back, I'm just like, okay, what else are you gonna do? Nothing. You have, So anyways, he couldn't chain enough to play because he had 2 accumulated fortunes. So that was that deck. He was bad, but if I had Direwolf in my deck in that game, I would have used it instead to destroy the card. So look at this guy. He's got Manju, so he's going to search this, right? Ruin, Queen of Oblivion. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great matchup for me because I'm going to go Caster into Heliotrope. I'm going to attack, do some damage. And remember, these guys, even though they're rituals, these are leveled monsters. They're not like Xyzes. So with Ophion on the field, these guys can't hit the field. So he's going to use Night Beam on this. I'm like, he uses it on this. I really wanted to keep that. But I still got my Warning and my Infestation. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to get rid of Heliotrope. Remove. He's going to say nope. He runs Transmigration Prophecy. I'm like, okay, this guy's bad. I mean, this card is good, but I just don't see any application nowadays. So, Spirit of the Harp, I'm like, alright. So, I got all this back row set. I've got these guys on the field. And he draws another Queen Ruin, so he decides to scoop. Obviously, with no materials, this... but I was going to go into a second Ophion if he didn't, use that effect, and then the following turn I would have done it anyway. And if he would have played something to summon this Ruin, I would have warned it. So, Evilswarm is so good. If you're gonna play Evilswarm, make sure you play a lot of back row because anti-meta aspect. So this guy's playing Fire King again. This is Evilswarm's a really bad matchup for this guy, really really bad. So he's gonna play Yaksha. I'm like, nope, compulse. Send you back because I'm not letting you tribute off that card. So look, he plays this. I'm like, alright, goes to the grave. I'm like, no problem, that's cool. Because this guy has no idea that I'm playing Evilswarm, even though he said Thunderbird. I could have been playing like that Chain Beat deck. So I'm going to go into Ophion, detach, get my Pandemic, set, go. Now, this effect is going to activate automatically, but sorry dude, it doesn't hit the field because it's higher than level 5. And you cannot special summon, so he scoops right there. All these cards in his hand go to waste because the whole lock that he was trying to do, because remember, the lock with that Fire King monster and this, so back row and monsters keep getting destroyed, but doesn't make sense. Not against Evilswarm, so hold that. Alright, next we're playing another deck that Evilswarm just simply destroys. This guy's playing Malefics. Once I saw Malefic World, I was like, this guy has no idea what he just got himself into. So I'm going to summon Caster, summon Heliotrope, go into Ophion, and I'm like, okay. Once he sees Ophion, he knows that it's pretty much over at this point because you can't summon any Malefics. He uses the effect. It makes me choose between 3 Malefic Stardust. I'm like, alright, whatever. You can trade in, you can do whatever, but you can't summon anything. Look at this. Malefic Stardust, Cyber End. Look, he's got Cyber End with Limiter. Like, how cheap is that? I'm not letting him bring anything on the field. Bam. Use the effect, summon again. I'm going to just attack with everything here. And this guy's such a nice guy that he lets me attack him for game. And look at that. He couldn't do anything. But, so that's Evilswarm, guys. It's pretty fantastic. The deck runs really smooth. Oh, there's a lot of duels that I didn't show you because I didn't record them because they ended after my first turn. This deck goes Ophion first turn like crazy, and if I was playing any type of dragon deck where people are playing like any type of dragon rulers or anything, as soon as I go Ophion first turn and I set 3 back row, they scoop immediately. They don't even play any games at all. And that's because they can't summon any of their dragons. I mean, if you draw Blaster, like you could use Blaster's effect to destroy Ophion, but you can't special summon anything. So if they don't have Blaster in their hand, forget about it. Dragons get murdered by this deck. So guys, this is the deck. Tell me what you think. The deck is pretty fantastic. I actually really like playing this right now. It's really good. So guys, subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs up the video. Leave your comments down below. And until next time, YouTube, peace.